Tonight, a busy weekend for police in Broken Hill, and a coronavirus-safe playgroup launched for families in Port Augusta.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening, everyone. 2 drivers were lucky to escape without serious injury after their cars collided in Broken Hill on Sunday night. The accident occurring near the city's CBD just after sunset.
A car left lying on its side, the result of a collision at the intersection of Wolfram and Chloride Street.
They weren't travelling excessive speed or anything like that, and it still managed to knock a car over on its side. So you can just imagine if it was going quicker, then there'd be a lot of more damage and more injuries.
7 Spencer Golf News understands a 19-year-old man was turning off Wolfram Street onto Chloride when he failed to give way. The driver has then crossed the T-junction and has been crashed into by an oncoming motorist.
No one was actually seriously injured. Ambulance, fire, police were all there. He got checked out. The other driver got checked out as well. No one went to hospital, but the young fella has been given a ticket for driving, failing to stop at an intersection at a give way sign.
It was a busy weekend for local police as coronavirus restrictions were lifted, with more people out and about. In the early hours of Saturday morning, officers stopping a 25-year-old local for a random breath test, returning a reading of .068.
Under the legislations now, police can issue on-the-spot fine for low range as well as suspending their licence. So he was issued with a $527 fine and issued and given a 3-month suspension of his licence.
Police say there is zero tolerance for drink driving across New South Wales, advising drivers to have a plan B. Patrick REINCKE, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A 26-year-old Port Augusta man has been allegedly caught drink driving nearly 6 times the legal limit. He was stopped by police on Whitting Parade on Saturday, allegedly returning a blood alcohol reading of .298. It's also alleged he was driving while disqualified. He was issued with an instant 12-month loss of licence and will appear in the Port Augusta Magistrates Court on September 7th. And a 34-year-old learner driver has been caught allegedly driving over 6 times the legal limit in Yorktown Friday afternoon. Police tested the man after reports of reckless driving on Warooka Road. Authorities allege he blew .308, with a child under 10 also allegedly in the car. He was charged with a raft of offences and will appear in court at a later date. South Australia has recorded another day with no new or active coronavirus cases. SA Health says although the news is positive, it's not a time to become complacent. They're encouraging locals to continue practicing good hygiene, keep 1.5 metres distance from others, and stay at home if unwell. The total number of cases recorded in SA remains at 439. The federal government also reminding residents to download the COVID-19 Safe app in a bid to help further prevent the spread of the virus. The member for Frome has lashed out at regional MPs who voted to adjourn an inquiry into land access rights. However, a neighbouring MP says the coronavirus pandemic needs to be the focus of the South Australian Parliament.
Balancing the rights of mining companies and farmers has been a complex issue in South Australia. The member for Frome seeking a review of the situation, calling for an independent inquiry into the matter.
To look at the processes nationally, see for other jurisdictions, see if we've got the best process in place, and internationally. Just because we've got a process in place doesn't mean to say that we've got the best process.
However, it's been adjourned to a later date with the Liberals using their numbers in Parliament. He says it's frustrating, claiming some regional government MPs support the inquiry.
Members ask for something and they cross the floor before to support an independent commission of inquiry and ask for that. When we have the opportunity to actually debate it, they sit in their seats.
York Peninsula's MP Fraser Ellis sided with his party during the vote. He says the COVID-19 crisis should be prioritised at this time.
That doesn't mean the issue's over. I continue to be in favour of an independent review and improved rights for landowners. We will revisit this issue in short term and I look forward to having a robust debate then.
The minister responsible confident of finding a solution.
Land access for mining on private landholders' property is one of my very highest priorities. We've taken some steps forward with the last mining bill.
However, Mr Brock says residents deserve answers.
They need to answer to their electorates why they have not allowed this bill to continue on, to have at least go into committee level and have a further discussion about it.
SHARI Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Headspace YVETTE have launched a new project, thanking youths working in essential services during the COVID-19 crisis. The aim is to provide recognition throughout the community to those who've remained on the front line.
YVETTE says thanks, a new platform recognising the dedication of young workers.
Everyone's been under the pump during this pandemic, but we just really wanted to shine a spotlight, particularly on young people, and just give them that recognition.
Headspace reaching out to local employers, asking them to fill out a short survey and nominate a young employee they'd like to thank for their efforts.
The response has been super positive, and the first places that we made contact with were all of the local supermarkets. So Coles, both Woolworths, Foodland at One Stop and Foodland at Essington Lewis.
Postcards will be sent out to those nominated. This YVETTE Foodland on board with the idea.
Well, I think it's very important. We have a lot of younger staff that work pretty much most days after school and weekends.
Ms Hudson says it's not been an easy ride, with many forced to deal with angry and frustrated shoppers.
They need to know that they have support in both their management and their business. Because sometimes it's not easy for a junior staff member to deal with an irate customer or somebody that's upset, trying to get through this pandemic.
Headspace encouraging others to get on board and show their appreciation for staff members.
It's super positive when young people do receive that feedback, and it's also really good for our own mental health as well to be able to share that positive interactions and just to say thank you.
SOPHIA KONTOGONIS, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, concerns once again raised over the safety of cuttlefish breeding grounds near YVETTE, and a COVID-19 safe playgroup launched in Port Augusta. Welcome back. A Balaclava man has been arrested and charged with firearms offences following a traffic stop in Kadina yesterday. Following a tip-off from the public, police attended a parked car in Beer Road around 11 a.m, speaking to 3 people. A search of the vehicle allegedly uncovered a .22 Lisco rifle, along with 52 rounds of ammunition. A 22-year-old man seated in the vehicle was searched, with police allegedly finding him with a set of knuckle dusters. A borough man will face Clare Court over numerous driving charges. Patrols allegedly detected the man travelling 173 kilometres an hour in a 100 zone on the Barrier Highway last Friday. They attempted to pull over the vehicle, but the driver failed to stop. Officers attended a borough address where the car had allegedly crashed into bins. The 25-year-old driver allegedly returned a blood alcohol reading of .047. Further checks also found he was suspended from driving. YVETTE residents remain concerned about plans to lift the cuttlefish fishing ban in the Spencer Gulf. However, the Primary Industries Minister says the decision was based on scientific data, assuring locals the iconic species is not at risk.
Concerned about the lack of consultation with local fishing industries across YVETTE, this previous commercial fisherman frustrated with the announcement.
They don't have all the information and there wasn't any public consultation into having it reopened.
It's a shared concern amongst YVETTE's tourism sector as well.
The lifting of the ban at this time, at the start of the cuttlefish season, has to be detrimental to that population.
We should maintain this species in the best possible condition, but it's also a valuable income to this community.
Minister for Primary Industry says the False Bay and Point Lowly area will remain permanently closed to fishers, protecting the species' most dense aggregation. The Minister could not speak on camera today, but in a statement says the South Australian Government takes fisheries management very seriously, and the latest science shows there is no evidence of large spawning aggregation outside the permanent closure area.
Cuttlefish in Whyalla are such a unique opportunity to see them and swim with them, dive, snorkel, but just to have the story about the cuttlefish. The cuttlefish that come into Whyalla are a special subspecies, so you don't find them anywhere else in the world. It's such a phenomenon.
SOPHIA KONTOGONIS, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Local residents eager to study this year can now enrol at UniHub, with mid-year intakes open. The CEO says it's a perfect opportunity for a career change, with many locals spending more time at home.
Opening doors to a dream career, UniHub has begun offering places for next semester, with local students urged to start applying.
We're gearing up for our mid-year intake. Enrolments are open, and in addition to our existing courses, we're really happy to be offering another few courses as well.
New business and media degrees have been added to its program.
Bachelor of Business, a Master of Business Administration or MBA, and a new course in Engineering and also Digital Media. So yeah, look, we're already getting a really strong level of inquiry.
In a bid to help regional students get ahead, extra tutoring will be made available. They can be accessed online, helping the hub align with social distancing standards.
There's additional local academic tutoring that's available for students in the course that they're studying. So, for example, social work students, psychology students, education, nursing.
Staff say there's no time like the present, with many residents opting for a career change amid the coronavirus economic crisis.
UniHub can help anyone who's not sure what they want to do or is interested in looking at options that are available to them.
Look, if people have been thinking about study for a little while, now's a really, really good time just to jump in. Enrolments are open and they'll be open until the end of June.
SHARI Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
With some playgroup centres still unable to open their doors, a group at Uniting Communities in Port Augusta have started their own. Footpath Play in the Sunshine brings workers to your home for some socially distanced fun.
It's not your regular playgroup. The team at Communities for Children, ensuring young children are still having fun in isolation.
And we'll sing a song or read a book and do a little craft activity.
They've developed an arts and craft kit that's used when visiting local houses on a weekly basis.
We have a little craft kit and we've had to sort of develop how that would work, because when you're sitting in your front yard, you don't necessarily have a kitchen table. So we've included things like a chopping board, so they've got something firm to do their colouring in on.
The program aimed at bringing some normality in these different times.
A regular routine is just so important because it gives them that little bit of structure and they can rely on it and they know it's going to happen, and it just gives them a great sense of security.
Ros says the 15-minute visits to the footpath are something to be remembered.
They really do love silly little songs and tiny little dog puppets. They are just so gorgeous. They just respond so well. The smiles are what makes it.
Laura MILOVANOVIC, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. We find out how Broken Hill residents can have their say about a new cafe. And a new virtual art exhibition launched in Port Augusta. The Far West Local Health District is calling for community assistance to shape an important project. The Mental Health, Drug and Alcohol Service wanting design input to build what they call a safe haven cafe.
A safe place for people in distress to go.
It's taking away that clinical or medical model kind of look that we're, traditionally have seen in mental health services.
The Safe Haven Cafe initiative was originally started in the United Kingdom. It provides a safe alternative to the emergency department for adults experiencing mental health difficulties. The Far West Health District looking to set up one of their own, asking the community and those who have lived experience with mental distress to help design it.
The people who will be served by the cafe are the best people to tell us what what they need. So that's what we're looking at. That's what co-design's all about.
Organisers hoping they can create something the community will feel comfortable using. Locals wanting to support the initiative are encouraged to get in contact.
My number's 8080-1525. Essentially, we'll be sending out surveys and trying to do some face-to-face consultations. Obviously, that's a little bit limited with COVID-19.
If you or someone you know needs help, call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Patrick REINCKE, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A popular Broken Hill milkshake hotspot is looking at going mobile. Thanks to Foundation Broken Hill support, Bell's Milk Bar is exploring the idea of taking its operations on the road in the form of a converted ice cream truck. The store's owner saying the community feedback is overwhelming.
We're committed to making that happen. We've got a concept in mind. And, you know, it is a restoration project, so I'm hesitant to commit to a time frame, but it will be happening.
Bell's recently reopened its doors to customers after closing due to COVID-19 restrictions. A local artist is trying out new ways to bring the art community together in Port Augusta. She held her first virtual exhibition over the weekend, with over 300 people taking part.
Moving activities online is becoming the new norm throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Local artist and Kurdnada art group member Georgie Sharp, the latest person to make the move.
It was an opportunity to experiment with a different way of showing my work. I've always had work online and I've sold quite a few pieces online, but it was just a little quirky thing. I thought I'd try to do it.
The quirky idea making its way around the world. Her page getting over 2,000 likes and just over 300 views on her exhibition.
But that's a pretty good result for a couple of days, whereas normally we take a month to get that many people to come and view an exhibition.
She says the technology could be the first step in offering parallel exhibitions to allow artists from around the globe to see what artists from Port Augusta have to offer. The exhibition, named Solidarity, grew inspiration from the trees at the Aridlands Botanic Gardens. A representation of the life we're living today through the pandemic.
Beautiful in themselves, they're strong in themselves, they're surviving, they're creating their own environment and creating their own beauty.
Laura Milivanovic, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll check the day's finance news, and we'll have the weather details with Britt. Hello again. Time for a quick check of the day's finance news. It was mostly green across the board. Elders, one of the day's big movers, up 9%, with Santos up 5%. Wesfarmers and Oz Minerals also had good days. However, Clean Seas and Westpac were down. And the All Ords and the ASX 200 were both up by around 1%. Time for a look at what's happening in local weather. Here's Britt with the details.
Good evening. We'll get to those showers in just a moment, but first let's take a look at today. It's been mostly sunny with maximum temperatures up to 4 degrees above average. 25 was the region's high recorded at Port Augusta. Whyalla and Woodna both reached 24. Broken Hill and Port Pirie 23 today. Port Lincoln, Kadina and Cleve 22. Goffin Bay 20, Clare 19 and Adelaide reached 21 degrees today. Taking a look at today's satellite images with mostly clear skies due to a broadening high pressure ridge and a little bit of jet stream cloud to our north. Moving on to tomorrow, and John, you're right, it's looking a little wet over some parts. We've also got a strong wind warning in place for the west coast and the Spencer Gulf, with northeasterly winds on the Gulf waters at 10 to 15 knots, turning northerly through the day. Seas between 1 and 1.5 metres, with south to southwesterly swells around 1 metre. Cloudy at Port Lincoln tomorrow, with showers expected in the morning and afternoon, a possible thunderstorm later in the day as well, looking at a top of 18 degrees. Cleve also 18 with showers clearing. Woodna a possible shower, also looking at a top of 18. 22 the top for Whyalla, looking partly cloudy tomorrow. Wind easing at Port Augusta, mostly sunny and 25 there. Partly cloudy with afternoon showers at Kadina, looking at a top of 21 degrees. Port Pirie partly cloudy and 22 22. Clare, fine in the morning with afternoon showers, a top of 19 there. Broken Hill, partly cloudy and 23. Further through the week now, with showers expected about the west coast, mid-north and the Eyre and York peninsulas on Wednesday. Sunny at Broken Hill, but mostly fine elsewhere. 19 the top for Port Augusta and Whyalla. Woodner and Port Pirie 18. Port Lincoln and Kadina 17. Broken Hill 16. Thursday, mostly fine throughout the region with a little bit more cloud about the lower Eyre Peninsula, maximums sitting in the mid to late teens. And Friday with maximums similar to Thursday, fine and partly cloudy conditions expected apart from a possible shower about the lower Eyre Peninsula. And John, that's the Monday weather. Back to you.
Thanks, Britt. And that's the local news this Monday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later. And we'll be back at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. On behalf of the team, have a great evening. Good night.